Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Appreciate all your support. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm recording this on Mother's Day. Hopefully it goes out later today. So shout out to all the mothers out there and all that you do. Hope you have a fantastic day. You earn and deserve it. Also, thanks to all of you if you didn't see the specific video that we did top 12,000. So we're rolling on to the next number. Let's dig in. This is really interesting. This is Lexi Brown. Lexi Brown trying to rewrite history a little bit, but it's interesting, and so I want to make some comments on this with regard to last year and her comments about the rookies this year. So let's dig into this. Is about a minute and a half, and then and then we're going to talk about it because, of course, I have some things to say, and I'm sure you will as well. So let's go.
League and as veterans, I think we have made this a more welcoming environment for this rookie class. Not saying that last year it was like overly hostile by any means, but I feel like one, because I haven't seen it because I haven't been online, the energy feels different this year. Like, as far as these rookies coming in and how the season's starting, like it's overwhelmingly more positive, but also still very competitive. Last year, it was like complete hostility going into the season. Like, it was insane. I never felt that before going into a season. And like the competitiveness, like it wasn't like there was no competition type energy in that. It was just hostile and mean and nasty. This year, I feel like it's very high level, high energy, competitive, respectful. That's just how I feel personally. I don't know if anybody else feels anything differently, but I feel this season is different for these rookies, and I hope that they feel welcomed to the W. Like, whether they're in a good situation, a not so good situation, whether they make the team, they're waves. Like, I hope that we've done a better job as older players and veterans to make this like an enjoyable experience for them. So
Lexi. What may I ask was different last year? Of course, as you said, last year wasn't overly hostile by any means. Really? Not overly hostile by any means last year? No? Are we sure? The flagrant fouls of which Caitlin was on the receiving end of what, like 17% of them, all the other hard fouls that could have been flagrant, all the other hard fouls that weren't even called fouls, all of the isms and the ists that the fan base was called, not overly hostile, really? Uh, you have to be a sociopath to say that with a straight face. And it was all about Caitlin last year. You're talking about, you never felt it like that, and it wasn't about competition. That's because it was about Caitlin Clark, Lexi Brown. It was about Caitlin Clark. Why can't you say that it was about Caitlin Clark? It wasn't about the rookie class. And then you just say it was different, but you can't bring yourself to explain why it was different. They're letting this year's rookies off the hook because there's no one that is a threat to them. There's no reason to be jealous either of their play or of them having a huge fan base like Caitlin Clark. But no, 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 Lexi Brown, we are not going to let you, the players, and the old guard WNBA media protectors who lied for a year about what was going on in the WNBA. We're not going to let you gaslight us into thinking what happened last year was justified or that it didn't happen or that it wasn't nearly as bad as everyone made it to be. Come on now. And that hostility, let's be clear, that was proudly sponsored, kicked off by the likes of Asia Wilson, talking about Caitlin's white privilege and all that nonsense so she could get a shoe deal, all about her cohorts like Monica McNutt and Cheryl Swoops and Andrea Carter and Elle Duncan and Natalie Esquire and Jamel Hill, who made everything about color. Yeah, it started with Asia's nonsense at the beginning of the season, and continued on from there. And no, I am not going to forget it, and I'm not going to be gaslit into saying it didn't really happen or it wasn't that bad. Let's not forget that we, the fans, were told over and over that none of it was happening, that we are just projecting, and also, of course, that we were the ists and the isms and we were the problem. It was pretty damn obvious that the vets were mad, they were jealous, they were insecure that Caitlin Clark was being called the GOAT, that she was offered the $5 million Big Three deal from Ice Cube. They were jealous of her huge fan base, something no WNBA player has ever come close to having. They were jealous that Caitlin Clark had folks saying she was already the best player in the league. I mean, we all remember the Gino Auriemma rant, right, about how her fan base is delusional and stupid, and how they thought she was going to be in the MVP category. Well, geez, she finished fourth. Should have finished higher, and she was first team All WNBA. And if I'm remembering correctly, she was the only guard who was first team All WNBA. So it sounds like the Caitlin Clark fans were not delusional. It sounds like they were the only ones who were truthful. They were the only ones who were accurate. They were the only ones who knew basketball, right? The league didn't even care about this rising tide lifts all boats and how Caitlin Clark's fan base was going to have a positive impact on them. All these players that are always complaining about what they were making, they were going to get more. We had players like Alyssa Thomas, Dejanay Carrington, Brittany Griner, Asia Wilson, Angel Reese, and more constantly calling Caitlin Clark's fan base ists and isms. And so did many in the media. Hello, Natalie Esquire, right? Over and over again. So, and let's be clear about the rookies last year. There's only one rookie who didn't feel welcome last season. There's no need to be general with your statement. This new class has zero expectations on them. None of them threaten anything the ones before them did. That's why it feels different. By the way, it's not feeling different for Caitlin Clark and it's not feeling different for her fan base. It's actually ratcheted up. They're going to continue with that nonsense. But apparently this year, the vets are not fighting for their jobs and they could be more welcoming to the rookies because, well, they're not Caitlin Clark. Caitlin, even with teammates who couldn't catch a pass, couldn't make a layup, some seemed to be actively sabotaging her. A coach who was even worse, and yet Caitlin was still breaking records that women who have been in the league for years haven't ever been close to touching. They tried to tell us Caitlin isn't the only player bringing in fans, although ratings 1.18 million versus 394,000 for games with Clark and without Clark. Ticket sales, the Indiana Fever set a home and away attendance record in the 26th game of a 40-game season. Those say different. And then, of course, there were those times when they would tell us that ticket sales and attendance doesn't matter. Yet they want the players to get paid. Those things don't matter. They lied and told us nobody hates Caitlin Clark. They just hate her fans. No, they also hate Caitlin Clark. I wouldn't even share with you some of the things I found that have been said about her. And no, not by troll accounts with 7 followers, but by actual accounts with thousands of followers. And I'd say Caitlin Clark was on the receiving end of about 17% of the flagrant fouls in the WNBA, which again, as I mentioned, doesn't include the flagrant fouls that weren't called and should have been, or even the regular fouls that weren't called. I mean, we could get into stuff like this, and I mean, this is wild too. Kelsey Gray in no way can ever guard Caitlin Clark. But look, okay, they've both got the arms against each other. I would not call that on either player. I wouldn't call any of this on either player. You can see Chelsea with she doesn't even get touched. Oh my goodness, she pulled out the 6 shooter. Whacked me, and that was called, by the way, on Caitlin Clark. By the way, she hasn't the 2 games of preseason. She hasn't shot a free throw, and of course, we had the infamous eye poke. I'm not even going to show the other angle. I did a whole video on how incredibly on purpose that was. Nothing was called there at all. We had this. This was not called. Remember Marina Mabrey in the playoffs with the left? I mean, that's like a boxing shot. Let me see if I can back that up a little bit. Hopefully, it lets me show this, and I'll slow it down. Uh, but let's see what we got. Right, left arm, boom, right across the face, man. She hits that in the right way, and she breaks her nose. No call. There's the official. Right? He was staring right at it, unobstructed from a few feet away. That is not incompetence. That is evil. Maybe, evil is too strong a word, but I wanted something that flowed with incompetence. Uh, but it is really bad. And of course, this was the bam, and that did get called. But again, you can see what they're doing to her. And that was the third foul by her in the stand of like 40 seconds. The two before it were dead ball fouls. It's absolutely absurd. We had this. Sorry, Dewana Bonner, but and I'm not saying this was dirty, okay, but this was clearly a foul, and again the official's right there, and she doesn't get that call. Never got calls. And yet Angel Reese saying Caitlin Clark had the special whistle, and then this was this season. If hopefully I can show it. Um, This was not called, and even I think this was Howard that got her on the drive. I wish I had a reverse angle, you could see it better, but she got hit pretty good there, not called. Howard knew it. Again, nothing against the player here. I'm not look what I'm not saying all of these were dirty. I'm saying Caitlin Clark had no whistle in these plays at all, though there were also a lot of dirty plays. But that was the game that the Atlanta Dream game. So and then there's one more I wanted to show you because this is stuff I think Caitlin got a a technical for this. Let me see if I can pull this up for you. Um, Sorry about this taking an extra second, but this is yeah, okay, here we go. You can see this, and then I'll show it again. This Caitlin got a technical for this, but you can see Alyssa Thomas's arm hooked inside Caitlin's left arm as Caitlin's trying to change direction, go from right hand to left hand inside between the legs. And then you can see the better angle of it here, which is like a second later. And this was not called. Shocking, right? Absolutely shocking that this was not called. But yeah, so anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. Appreciate you checking out this video. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments below. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. The only thing I would say is Lexi acknowledged there were problems last year, but she very much downplayed them, right? Not hostile by any means, and then pretending it's a generality with the rookie class about all these rookies and that it was somehow normal, but this year is different. After they spent a year telling us it wasn't even happening, this is some cowardly stuff, some gaslighting going on, trying to rewrite history. But no, we're not going to have that. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments below. Thank you for checking out this video. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Have a great Mother's Day, and I will talk to you later.